Introducing the Fantasy Sport Doctors with your hosts, Dr. Mitch Brecky, Dr. Nick Curry, and Dr. Nick Healy. Welcome to the clinic. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
Let's go, my boys!
You guys ready?
Week 2, baby.
I'm excited.
Woo! Want some money in week 1? Ready to keep it going.
Love it. All right, guys, this is week 2. Fantasy Sport Doctors in the house. Week 1 was a blast. I think everybody had fun. I know Dr. Brecky and I did. We went to Vegas.
I think all of Vegas.
I like to roll dice. I like to roll dice a lot.
I love rolling the dice. You know what else I like?
I thought you had carpal tunnel, but I don't know if that's a reason.
I like going down to Vegas, and the very first bet I put down is on Calvin Benjamin to score the very first touchdown of the season. Guess what? He did it.
And guess what? I took Denver with the points.
Denver with the points. Yeah, we both won money first night, so that was good.
Yep.
It was all downhill from there. So
depending on how you want to look at it, it all went kind of downhill.
it was. So this week, I'm going to be drinking this coffee bender here. It's a Surly beer brewed directly out of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, so not too far away. It's just down the street from us here out of Plymouth. And
they make that Furious. It's a good double IPA. It's also good if you like something a little bit more hoppy.
I love the Furious. I think that's the classic beer. Everyone knows the Surly Furious. I went a different route. This is maybe a beer that you're going to be going out on Saturday night. Saturdays are for the boys, right?
For the boys.
Oh, for the boys. All right. So you're going to be going out on Saturday night, and you're going to wake up, and you're going to feel like crap. What are you going to do? You're going to grab a bender, and it's going to be... All righty, yeah. So, and you know what? You're going to wake up and you're going to feel great for the NFL game slate. So, this week we got a great show coming to you guys. We're going to be talking a lot about. I think we're going to be talking a lot about the Oakland Raiders.
The Raiders.
The Raiders. They're home finally.
They call it the black hole. Is that what it is?
I think it's the black
hole.
Yeah, they're back in the black hole. And another couple of teams that we'll be talking a lot about are the Giants and the New Orleans Saints. I think everybody knows who the Saints are after last week. Big game, lots of points, and they're in another shootout this week.
They brought us some cha-ching last week.
That's right. So stay tuned so you can grab all our picks at the end and go ahead and plug those picks right into your daily fantasy sport lineups and win money like we did.
Absolutely.
Well, how'd we do this week, boys?
Well, we had a hit and then we had a miss as well. I'll start off with the hit over here with the Fanduel lineup. First, we start off by connecting Mr. Drew Brees with Brandon Cooks, and that turned out to be
It's a good pick.
pretty dang good.
I really like pairing your top quarterback with the top wide receiver. That can pay off big time.
Oh, yeah. And then we followed it up with a David Johnson performance that was very good as well. He got the ball, swing. He ran the ball, and swing. All right. And then behind him was Ezekiel Elliott, who did just an average performance. We were expecting more from him.
Did get in the end zone.
He did. Yeah. He did. So that saved his points there. And a person that we talked about a lot last week was Dante Moncrief.
He did well. He caught a lot of balls. And you know what? He scored 18 points in DraftKings, relatively around there for FanDuel. So, a solid guy who outperformed his value by quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. And he was targeted a lot. He probably should have had 2 touchdowns instead of just one, but I was jacked for that one he got.
For sure.
Where we underperformed on that one was a Tyler Lockett. We expected a lot more out of him, and then also on the Browns defense. But overall, taking all the points together, a couple other guys we had was Vinatieri, who did well, and Jason Witten was a pretty average middle road tight end. We scored 143 points, and we took home a victory.
All right.
Love it.
Cheers to that.
And we went a little more risky in DraftKings. We were playing the tournament, the Millie Maker, and we're like, you know what? It'd be really cool if we threw up $1 million the first week.
So we put all our marbles in one basket. And that basket was not the right basket.
So we played Dak. And we paired him with Dez. Again, we like playing, the number one quarterback with the number one wide receiver. And as you guys know, that went down the toilet bowl.
Straight down the shitter.
Yeah, we got Dez scoring 1.8 points. Means he had like one catch for 8 yards, which is just god awful.
Dismal.
This whole lineup is depressing. I don't even know we should go through it.
Oh, it's brutal. And then we had Colby Fleener. He didn't perform. He got paid big money in the offseason to be the Saints' go-to guy, the new tight end in town, and he did not show up.
And he's the only one on the Saints that did not.
Yeah, there was a lot of balls that went around, and he was not the one grabbing them.
So we ended up only scoring around 71 points. Obviously not in the money there, but overall we were 1-1 as far as our picks went, and we did have quite a few people sending in messages directly to us, emails, Twitter, Facebook, with their winning lineups. We had people winning anywhere between $10 and $15 last week. So on $1 to $2 bets, that's good money any day of the week, and if you can replicate it multiple times, that turns out to be a lot of money with the potential to win a lot. So good work, guys. I think that week 1, that's a success. So again, we'll be moving on to the objective portion. During this part, we're giving you all stats. So again, we're going to be doing the projected point totals of the week for the top scoring games. So every week we'll pick the top projected scoring teams by Vegas odds. This is done by taking the over-under and the spread of all 16 games and identifying the top 6 to 7, maybe 8. This week's a little different because we had a few ties in there, but essentially the top 6 scoring games favored by Vegas odds makers. So Dr. Nick Healy is going to take it for us.
All right, thank you, Dr. Curry. All right, well, we're going to work from who's going to score the most points and to who's going to score the least out of the most projected points. And we're going to start with the first game. That's the Carolina Panthers against the San Francisco 49ers. Carolina Panthers are projected to score 29.5 points, and they're favored by 13.5 over San Francisco. Dr. Brecky, tell us how that's going to happen.
All right, so I know everyone, if you watched the Monday night game, you saw San Fran and the Rams play. Not the most exciting game. San Fran came out with the defense, and they overperformed to, I think, what most people expected. Now, take that with a grain of salt. Last week, San Fran gave up only the second least amount of passing yards and the 5th most rushing yards. Now, that was against a LA team who's struggling in many facets. So I really think Carolina is going to come out, even though those stats showed pretty well for San Fran in the first week. I think we'll talk about this later in the show. I like Cam Newton in this game. Mm-hmm. He's going to do a lot of things, and he played against a Denver defense last week that was just as good or better than last year, and it definitely showed on the field. And he still put up some points.
Put up 20 points against the best team in defense.
So we'll talk further on, but I do like Cam in this game, and for a couple more reasons as we go forward here. So let's talk about that second game coming up here.
Okay. I do want to make a couple comments about the San Francisco defense. You do have to give credit where credit is due, because Todd Gurley is kind of a beast. I know they focused on him, but to hold him to what they held him to and to give up a goose egg, no matter what NFL team it is, they did a pretty good job. Granted, you're right, it's St. Louis, but L.A.
There you go.
Sorry.
Looking at this game, favored 13.5 points. That's a lot of points to cover. That means Vegas is pretty sure that Carolina is going to come out and stomp the 49ers. And at an over-under of 45.5, that's pretty much middle of the pack. They're projected to score 29.5 points. We're looking at least 4 touchdowns from Cam Newton, Calvin Benjamin, Jonathan Stewart.
Devin Funchess, maybe.
Yeah, potentially.
Greg Olsen.
Potentially Cam running another one in.
Yep.
He's that running quarterback, which gives you extra points there. So I really like Cam again this week.
All right, we're on to game number 2, and we got the Giants against the New Orleans Saints. This is actually projected to be scored the most points in the entire week. They're projected to score 53 points overall, with the Giants taking it by 28.75 points. All right, what do we got there, Dr. Brecky?
All right, the Saints here, they were the last rated defense in the league last year, and they kind of showed that they're still right around that range again in week 1.
They're off to a good start.
Not the best start ever. They were definitely in that shootout with Oakland. What a game to watch. It was a lot of fun. New Orleans is staying with that 4-3 defense. Just found out that they've actually lost. The New Orleans Saints lost one of their starting defensive backs in Delvin Brew. Mm-hmm. Is it Brew, I think how you say it?
Brio.
Brew. It might be French or something like that.
Know. Yeah. Looks French.
Taking out a top defender in your secondary on top of not being a quality defense, I like OBJ. I like Sterling Shepard. I like Eli Manning in this game.
We like the Giants.
We like the Giants a lot.
About defense. They can't stop a nosebleed.
They can't.
You
no Kleenex.
You won't hear me say this much on the show because I'm not a fan of Eli Manning whatsoever. But in this game, I expect him to go off.
Eli Manning has really, really bad games, but then he has
really good games.
pretty darn good ones. And he's got 3 receivers now with Victor Cruz catching a touchdown pass last weekend. I saw that salsa dance again, and
so hot.
Your plays for this week as a receiver crew from the Giants. OBJ obviously is very expensive when it comes to that. On DraftKings, he is $9,500. Now, if you're looking for someone a little cheaper in a tournament play, you're looking at Victor Cruz at $4,300. Sterling Shepard might even be a little bit less than that, and I think you could get huge outputs out of them if the ball gets thrown around to them. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. All right, and we got a third game on the docket. Here it's the Arizona Cardinals against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We are projecting that Arizona Cardinals is going to score 28.25 points, and their over-under total is going to be 50 points. Tell us, Dr. Brecky, how the Cardinals are going to be scoring that many points.
All right. Tampa last week. Let's give you a couple stats on Tampa's defense. We like the Cardinals in this matchup, so we're talking about Tampa's defense. Tampa's defense gave up the second least amount of rushing yards last week, which I believe was versus Devontae Coleman, Devontae Freeman, gave up only 52 yards rushing.
That's pretty
good.
That's
a pretty good showing.
That's pretty good.
Now, the passing game, that's a different story.
Yep.
They gave up the 26th most, 322 yards. In a pass-happy offense of the Arizona Cardinals, I like to target the air attack of the Cardinals. Now, there's a lot of options to choose from. You got John Brown, Michael Floyd, Larry Fitz. You even have David Johnson on the backfield. But I would steer a little bit more clear of the running game of the Arizona Cardinals, showing that first week of Tampa, showing a stout run defense with that 4-3 camp of 2. I would go more towards the air attack on your positions on this one.
But with David Johnson, he can be a threat, like we said in the passing game there. So I would not just take him completely off your radar because he's going to score points either way.
Yep.
So
David Johnson should be solid. He's, like you guys said, he's going to score points regardless. It's just whether or not he lives up to his $7,600 potential.
Exactly.
And then, looking at the wide receivers there, that really is a crapshoot, bringing it back to Vegas. You don't know what you're going to get from any of them. Any of them could be the best player on the team or could be the worst player on the team. Look at John Brown last week. I think he caught 1 ball. And Fitz had a huge game.
It's hit or miss with him for sure. But with the Tampa Bay, I don't expect them to do nearly what they did last week. Jameis Winston looked phenomenal.
Oh, lost some weight. He's cruising around, throwing the deep
it,
ball.
Looking
like Eddie Lacy out there.
Even on the zone, carbs are the enemy.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on our next one there. We got the Oakland Raiders against the Atlanta Falcons. Oakland Raiders are projected to win this one. They're projected to score 27 points, and the total over-under is going to be 49.5. Take it over, Dr. Mitch.
Going off what we were just talking about with Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston lit up the Falcons secondary last weekend. I love the Raiders in this when it comes to David Carr. You're playing against a 4-3 base covered 2. That's going to leave 2 high safeties. You're going to have some holes on the sides. So you like some outer rim receivers in your Amari Cooper, Crabtree are going to be good picks for you. Sleeper picks out of this one, the tight end. Clive. Walford.
Love him.
He's not going for much. I think he's going at
2,900.
He was targeted maybe 5 or 6 times. Caught 2 or 3 balls, but the potential is there. Keep that in mind. I love the Raiders in this right here. And David Carr.
If you're looking to fill in somebody for a little bit cheaper price with higher potential output, Clive Walford, he's supposed to be a go-to tight end, and I think he was the only tight end listed on their roster last week as available. So underperformed a little bit, but how do you perform up to Amari Cooper and Mike Crabtree, right?
And I want to mention something of a difference between DraftKings and Fanduel. Walford is definitely a steal in DraftKings. He's going, like we mentioned, 2,900 in DraftKings. If you look over at Fanduel, he's going for 4,700. So that's going to save you a lot of money and allow you to get a lot better players with the rest of your lineup. So look for that.
And what we've noticed, you got to remember, FanDuel, you're getting $60,000 to start with to build a team, but you have to throw a kicker in there, and you don't get a flex option. Okay, so the players are maybe valued at a little bit higher price, and there's maybe a little bit less difference between the players than when comparing them to DraftKings. Because DraftKings, you only have $50,000 to start with, and you don't have to put a kicker in there. Then you're throwing in a flex player who is a skilled position, so they definitely vary quite a bit. Look at Walford there at 2,900, and then you go up to the top and you see Greg Olson at 5,600. You're saving yourself over $2,000 by playing that guy. That could
put that to work in another part of your lineup.
Yeah,
That's
especially
huge.
with wide receiver, have two number ones. That could definitely make a difference. All right, so now we're on the fifth game. There we're on the Detroit Lions. It's the roar have been restored. We'll see what happens with that against the Tennessee Titans. Their over/under is 47, and we have the Detroit Lions scoring 26 points in this game.
All right, we got the Titans defense going up against the Lions. Titans defense runs a 3-4 scheme, a Dick LeBeau scheme. So you're looking at something that the Steelers used to do a lot of. They're bringing blitzes from many different places, a lot of pressure most of the time, and in that case, if you have enough protection, like the Lions, I think did pretty well for Matt Stafford last week. I'm looking for someone to really come out of it. A Golden Tate, I like. Marvin Jones is going to be good. I like the receivers in this matchup because if you can pick up the blitz and you dink and dunk down the field and hit them on when they bring pressure and hit them deep, that's big point potentials for both Matt Stafford and his receivers out there.
And one thing we're going to be talking about later in the show is how actually good Tennessee's running defense looked against AP.
They held them to 31 yards. Now, I know that the Vikings offensive line isn't that great, but AP's a stud, and if you hold a Hall of Fame quarterback to 31 yards, that means you're doing something right up front.
Yes.
Well, let's all remember that Sean Hill is no Matt Stafford.
That is very true.
So
there's no much other.
But it's also
Stephon
AP.
Diggs, how many yards
He's
receiving?
no Golden Tate.
Yeah, but
How many-
think about this.
100 yards.
That means
104 yards.
Okay,
Yeah.
forget about Sean Hill. Christian Ponder was not a stud either, and he ran for over 2,000 yards with Sean Hill. So he was running people over.
It's
I'm
week
just saying,
one. It's week one. I understand.
The Vikings
what
don't
you
play.
saw with the Tennessee Titans defense is they were group tackling, they were Dick LeBeau in it, and all going together.
You know what? The Vikings don't play Adrian Peterson in the preseason. I think it came out and bit him.
It's happened 2 years in a row, I guess.
He's
but we'll
just
see what
getting his legs underneath him. He's hasn't taken a hit yet.
Yeah.
So
It's true.
So that could be part of it. Remember, this is week one. So when you're building your lineups, you're looking at stats from around the league where it says that little green number that, hey, this is a good defense to play, or red number, hey, this is a bad one. That's off of 1 week's stats.
Yes.
So this could change and fluctuate quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And one thing that we haven't really talked about, Jim Bob Cooter.
Jim Bob
Cooter.
Jim Bob Cooter.
Best name in the NFL.
Best name in the NFL.
Wish my mother named me that. That'd be awesome.
Maybe the
She didn't love
best
you that much. Come
offense. This team has weapons everywhere. When you look at Theo Riddick catching balls out of the backfield, could easily go 20 yards from a dump down. Golden Tate, who's crafty. Marvin Jones, he likes to toe tap on the outside. And then you got Eric Ebron, who's a threat on the inside, inside the red zone. I really like the Detroit Lions offense.
We're going to be talking about that a
More
little
about this
later.
as we come down.
All right. Let's move on. All right. Now, the next game we got is the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this is a rivalry game. This is a big game. The over-under is going to be 48.5, but the Steelers are projected to win with 26 points.
All right, so we have Pittsburgh versus Cincy here. Cincy's defense is a 4-3 cover 2 base. Last week played the Jets, held Fitzpatrick, Eric Decker, Brandon Marshall to 133.
Matt Forte.
Well, with the passing game, held him to 133 yards passing, but gave up 152 rushing. That was the fourth most given. That's a 5.1 per carry is actually what they did, which is the third most out of any rushing that was let up last week. And so
to Bilal Powell.
Matt Stafford, who's a little older. Now I'm looking at
Matt Forte. I'm old.
This divisional rivalry here is always a smash mouth game in Pittsburgh and Cincy. So I'm expecting to be a lot of running, not a lot of passing. Regardless, maybe I think more of the passing is going to come from Big Ben's side, but I think there's potential rain for this game. I think it's going to be more of a run-heavy game. I think D'Angelo Williams in this. If you want to go the other route on the losing side, Hill for the Bengals, but I would stick with the D'Angelo Williams and stay away from Big Ben. But I think Antonio's still a safe play.
I mean, same with AJ Green. You're not going to have bad plays.
It's still a safe play, but I would think it's going to be more a run-heavy game here.
Yeah.
If you guys are going to go wide receiver in this game, I would highly recommend going with Eli Rogers because he's coming out of the slot. He's somewhat like a check down, but still has the speed to go deep. So he's going to catch some balls with the ability to maybe go deep on one and get you some big points.
And how much does he cost?
$4,100 in DraftKings.
$4,100.
So
very
he's
cheap.
Kind of a steal. And he went for 17 points last week.
5,500
on
FanDuel.
Monday night. Roethlisberger's gaining trust in him, and they really don't have anyone else at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't.
Last game. What do we got here, Healy?
That was the last game.
That was the last game.
Well, I believe we talked earlier. There is a game that also has 26 points favored, and that's the Denver Broncos and the Indianapolis Colts.
All right, so these guys are projected to score 45 points total, but we have the Denver Broncos that are going to be favored by 6, and they're going to score 25.5 points, or 26 points, excuse me. To be honest, Indianapolis secondary is just decimated.
Terrible.
I mean,
bunch of injuries.
They had 2 injuries coming in, and there was another 2 or 3 injuries that happened during the game.
Yep.
And who knows who's going to come back, but they're not going to be 100%, especially going against that stud wide receiver core of Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders. You have C.J. Anderson coming out of the backfield, as well as up-and-coming tight end who needs to throw it down in Virgil Green.
Virgil Green
could be a big pick this week. Again, he's going to be a
low
very
owned.
low owned and very low.
That's good for your tournament games.
4,600 in FanDuel.
And like we talked about, I know there's been talk about how the health of Demaryius Thomas, even if he does play, it might be limited. And if it's limited, who's going to come in? Jarius Norwood. And Norwood's, he's actually played a fair amount last year and caught some balls. So if you're looking to try to just plug someone in at the end of a tournament game and you ain't got much left to work with,
hit or miss,
Norwood would be a good pick for you because you're playing against a decimated secondary. Now, Simeon isn't proven, but he showed some good stuff last week. He really did.
That was my next point. It was, can Trevor Simeon take advantage of a beat-up secondary?
The Northwestern quarterback.
Is it possible?
It comes down to good coaching, good play calling at that point. So if they know that, they're going to do it.
I think we're all in agreement, though. I mean, the biggest person we're looking at here for this game is C.J. Anderson, right?
We're going to be talking about that in a minute here. So let's get on to our.
All right. So moving on, we're going to go into the assessment portion. Again, during this assessment portion, we each are going to give 3 different players that we like, we don't like, and we must have in our lineups. So to start off with, we're going to start off with tournament games, and I've highlighted 2 tournament games that you may want to play this week. The first one, we're going to start off with FanDuel. It's a $5 buy-in, but it's called the $1 million NFL Sling TV Rush. I felt like I just called a play in the huddle there, you guys.
You kind of did.
Yeah.
Spider 2Y banana.
It sounded good. All right. This one in FanDuel, the top 20% of the people win, with the first place person taking home $100,000 on a $5 buy-in. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Not bad at all.
DraftKings, then we're coming up with a $1 million play action. Again, the top 27% win, $50,000 to first, and that's only a $3 buy-in. So, you go with DraftKings, a little bit lower buy-in, a little bit higher percentage of the people win, but the top person is going to win about half of what they do in FanDuel. So your choice there. Those are both good options to start off the week with. So moving on, we have Fight or Flight. players.
All right, we got our fight or flight players. I'm going to start off here. My fight or flight player for the tournament games is Emmanuel Sanders. People were really low on this guy this year for some reason, probably because of the quarterback. But the first game showed against one of the toughest defenses in the league that he's going to be targeted. He was targeted about 8 times last week. Indianapolis has got horrific defensive backs, like we mentioned before. They gave up 332 yards last week and 3 passing touchdowns. And with Demaryius Thomas being injured with his hip, I think he's going to be more of a decoy than an essential asset to the team. So look for Emmanuel Sanders, and he's costing you in Fanduel. He's costing you $6,700, so it's not that big of a price. Who do you got there, Dr. Mitch?
All right. My fight or flight for tournament play games. Low price, going to be low owned, high potential, Sterling Shepard of the New York Giants. He's coming in at looks like about 6,200 on FanDuel, and he's going to be below 4,300 on DraftKings. High potential here. Got more injuries in the Falcons secondary. They had a poor showing in the first week versus Oakland Raiders. They got lit up. I like Sterling Shepard this week.
Yeah, Sterling Shepard looks
Straight cash, homie.
He's got nice hands. His hands.
Oh my goodness.
Huge out of Oklahoma. Woo!
Coming in, rookie, first game, scoring a touchdown. Big
TD.
big spot.
Big
spot. Love it. That's great. My fantasy fight or flight player is going to be somebody that probably a lot of people picked last week. I'm going with Kobe Fleener. And
What?
Yeah, the reason why I'm saying that is because he's only going to cost you $3,900, which last week he was up to I believe it was $4,500. So he's dropped, $600-$700 in DraftKings, and people are going to be really low on him. He is not going to be owned by very many people because he had such a bad performance. Listen, they paid this guy a lot in the offseason. They're going to get him the ball eventually. It's just hard when you're spreading around to Willie Snead and Brandon Cooks all the time, right, guys?
No, there's that.
There is that. All right, moving on.
Fantasy Flatliner.
Oh, yeah, fantasy flatliner time. All right, I'm going to go with a guy that hit it big last week, and he was not that expensive. He's not that expensive this week. On FanDuel, he's only $5,900, but people, I believe, are going to be picking him because of what he did last week. Last week, he went off. I mean, he had 7 attempts rushing for 45 yards and a touchdown, also 5 receptions for 63 yards. And that was with going out a little bit. But they're playing a Tennessee defense that we mentioned a little earlier that only gave up 65 yards total rushing. That's 2.3 yards per carry. And to be honest, Theo Riddick or Amir Abdullah, neither of them are AP, and they never will be AP, and they're just not going to have what he's got. So I believe Dick LeBeau's defense is going to shut him down, and I'm going to say that's my flatline of the week. Dr. Brecky.
All right. My fantasy.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
You're damn right I'm serious, and it's going to be proven on Sunday.
Dr. Curry, I don't think agrees with that.
I don't agree with that.
I'll be pressing the button and saying, hey, you like that? You like that? Next Wednesday.
You can press the button if Theo Riddick doesn't score a touchdown.
Dr. Curry's real high on the
I feel like we need a little bet here.
Motor City Kitties this week.
I feel like after the games, if Theo Riddick doesn't score more than, let's have a 10-point flatline.
Sure.
If he scores over 10 points, I buy you a beer. If not, you owe me one.
Done.
I like that. Shake
right.
it.
Boom.
There we
Witness.
go.
I like it.
Love it. What do you got, Mitch?
All right. I got my fantasy flatliner. It's like a semi-flatliner for the week. David Johnson. Bear with me on what I'm going to explain this here. He's very expensive. I still think he's going to perform, but he's not going to perform with what you pay for him. He is going to be playing Tampa's defense, like we said. David Johnson is $7,600 in DraftKings, $9,000 in FanDuel. He's playing a defense in last week of Tampa Bay who only let up 52 rushing yards to a dual-back system in Atlanta Falcons. So I think David Johnson is going to give you some points. I don't think he's going to get what you're going to pay for him. David Johnson is my fantasy flatline for the week.
That's a risky play. Yeah. Risky play.
In tournament games, I'm with you there. David Johnson, probably isn't going to outperform to the extent that we think he is. He's definitely going to get you points. Maybe this week David Johnson is a lower ceiling, higher floor kind of guy.
You boys are killing me with this one. This is David
What's gonna
Johnson.
happen.
David Johnson.
All right, so
University of Northern Iowa.
You know what?
Come on.
He is playing a tougher defense there. That's just plain truth. So, flatliner for me. You guys, a lot of people probably are going to be picking this guy, which is part of the reason why I think he's going to flatline. And to be honest, I think he could kill your lineup, especially in a tournament game. I'm going with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, I know he scored a bunch of points on Monday night, but remember, perfect weather. He's playing a crappy team in Washington.
They did make the playoffs last year.
I mean, they did, but Josh Norman didn't follow him around. They were basically
picking on that. What was his name?
I saw at one point Antonio Brown's like, "Hey man, come over here. I don't want to be on Norman. I want to be on the other guy." So they were picking on some other, rookie or whoever it was, not Josh Norman, and that's where he scored all his points from. And to be honest,
the left side.
If you think about it, they scored a majority of those points came on a fourth down play, a risky fourth down play where he just basically threw it up. Actually, I think both his touchdowns were the exact same play.
Go routes.
Yep, go routes.
And one of them went to a guy he mentioned earlier for a touchdown. It was when they were in the red zone. Exact same play went to Eli Rogers. It was the exact same play.
Exact same play. And you know what? I look at Antonio Brown for $9,900. He is at least $500 more expensive than any other player on the slate. And with a rainy game, a little bit lower over-under, a divisional game where they know he's going to be out there playing, I'm staying away from Antonio Brown in tournaments this week.
And he's $9,200 in Fanduel as well. So he's
sure.
Pricey, but
all right. We're moving on. We got our picks, essential picks for this week. This could stray a little away from our own dynamic and formula of how we pick things, but it's a must play for your tournament games this week. I'm actually going to go a little outside the box. I'm going to go with the defense. You need to play the Ravens defense this week.
Tell me why.
Yeah, I said it. Write it down. Take a picture.
Write it down. I said it. Yep.
Oh.
They are playing the Browns. Okay, so the Browns are already dismal. Down a quarterback. Now playing with McCown, who has played before. That's fine. Plug in your second quarterback in after a loss. Team's terrible. McCown, I think in his last 11, 12 games is 1-11 as a starter. I just don't see them doing much. And you're looking at the Ravens. The Ravens defense last week was in the top 2 or 3 in almost every category. Total defense, number 1.
Number 1 receiving yards.
Total defense versus passing, number 1. They're like 5 or 6 in rushing. I mean, this is a perfect matchup. You want to play the Ravens defense, and they're not even that much.
They're cheap. They're $4,600.
Yeah,
cheap.
I like the Ravens.
I like that.
That's $4,600, and Fanduel, they're even cheaper than that in DraftKings. And like you said, playing the Browns is always, if you're in a regular league, hey man, pick whoever's playing the Browns for your defense.
Pick the Ravens.
Yeah. Plug and play.
Yeah.
Plug and play.
Okay. Dr. Healy, what do you got? What do you got over here?
For my essential over here, I got a CJ Anderson for the Denver Broncos. I think he's going to go off. Devontae Booker, I expected a lot more out of in week 1. First carry was a fumble, unfortunately. So they just kept feeding the rock to CJ Anderson. And against the Carolina Panthers, who, like I said before, have one of the top defenses in the league, he had 20 attempts for 92 yards and a touchdown. That doesn't count his 47 yards receiving and another touchdown. And then he's going against a crappy defense in Indiana, who's a bunch of garbage in every aspect of being a defense. It's pathetic.
You got a rookie quarterback, you're going to run the ball.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
With that defense, you can do whatever you'd like.
That's true. Well, and they like taking time off the clock so that you don't have an opportunity to come back, right? My pick this week for tournaments, a guy that I think you must have in your lineup or is essential to winning cash in tournament games is going to be a guy who I'm only going to be talking about for this week and the next week, because after that, Le'Veon Bell comes back. I'm going with D'Angelo Williams. And we've already kind of touched on this, but it's a smash mouth type of game. going to be a little sloppy out there, a little wet out there, and D'Angelo Williams is going to be running the rock. I love that pink hair flowing in the wind.
Breast cancer, baby. You gotta support it.
I love
Spirit fingers.
I love it. So I think he's going to score at least one touchdown. He's probably going to catch the ball a couple of times coming out of the backfield. You're looking at least 15 points easy out of D'Angelo Williams.
Good pick.
And the thing about the future picks, you said 1 or 2 weeks. Yes, Le'Veon Bell's going to come back, but with what he's done over the last year, it's got to be timeshare.
I don't know.
Gotta be.
Le'Veon Bell depends on
Le'Veon
how
Bell
healthy
played
he is.
a couple games last year, got hurt, and D'Angelo Williams came in and was probably the number 1 running back all last year.
That is a good point. Yeah, that's
And
something that it's the
killing it.
unknown. If you're not handcuffed in a regular league or who's going to get the carries in your daily fantasy sports, Le'Veon comes back. He's your guy. I mean, he really is. He's going to get spot in. 75% of the carries, depending on how he conditions back in, but. Yeah, D'Angelo's going to be in the mix a little bit.
And not to get sidetracked, it's kind of the same situation what they have between Jamal Charles and Spencer Ware, because Spencer Ware has been a freak as well.
That's
so
true.
from what I hear, it's going to be a lot more of a timeshare with that as well. So it's something you just want to pay attention to in your regular leagues. So
Spencer Ware not on our list last week, but was one heck of a play. I mean, if you played Spencer Ware, you were doing well.
He won me some money.
Yep, that's for sure.
Say.
Now we're moving on. Cash games. So again, we're going to repeat the process and do exactly what we did for cash games. I got a couple of little tidbits here on cash games. This week, I think you focus on your double ups and your triple ups. That's going to be putting in $5 and winning 10 or winning 15. And I think you play 1 or 2 of those and mix in maybe 1 or 2 tournament games. I would definitely play more cash games than I do tournament games. Reason being, you have a higher probability and a higher chance of winning in cash games and a higher probability and a higher chance of losing in tournament games. So you're kind of hedging your bet, if you will, and evening yourself out and hopefully not losing a lot of money if you lose on your tournament games. So moving up, we got the fight or flight players.
Fight or flight players. I love it. This is actually out of my 2 things, your tournament or cash games. I like the cash games because I feel like you're playing a less amount of people, and if you're intelligent and you educate yourself, you're going to win the money. My first fight or flight player I have is, and you could really probably choose any Arizona receiver on this one, but I really like Michael Floyd for his upside. Last week, he only had 3 receptions, but it was for 61 yards. So that's over 20 yards per reception. He had 1 for over 39 yards. And last week, Tampa Bay's defense gave up 334 yards, and that's counting a 59-yarder to Sanu, who was basically a backup in Cincinnati, and then a 31-yard touchdown reception to Julio Jones. So their defense is poised to lose the big play, and Michael Floyd is one that's going to take it. Dr. Mitch.
All right. My fantasy flight or flight for cash games this week is coming from a game which one of the highest scoring games last week, may have been the highest scoring game. I'm going with Michael Crabtree. He was the one that hauled in the 2-point conversion, got plenty of targets. He might get 8 to 10 targets last week, I believe. It's a crapshoot when it comes down to Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree. He's my fight or flight because Crabtree is a little bit the lower value, but I really think this week versus the Falcons, who just got decimated by Winston, I think Carr can do the same thing to them, and I think Crabtree is going to be a great pick for the value that he's at right now. And Carr right now is Crabtree's at 6,100, so a little more spendy, but and Amari Cooper's at 7,600. I think you can get more value out of Crabtree than you will Amari.
Yeah, and FanDuel, you got Cooper that's at 7,900 and Crabtree that's at 62. So
there you go. And I think the production could even be the same across the board, but you paid less. You can put that money towards other players. I like Crabtree this week.
By the way, how about that call on that 2-point conversion?
Jack Del Rio.
Oh,
I like it. You see him all smiling in the silent.
My God. He wouldn't have been smiling if
waving his hair.
A fade, too.
I mean, he wafted it. He looked like a surfer in California. He's in California, though.
The thing about this is if you are that confident in your player to take a 2-point conversion, game on the line,
on the road,
and throw a fade, and you're that confident in him to come down with that shows a lot in Derek Carr, and it shows a lot in Michael Crabtree.
Listen. All right, so Amari Cooper is obviously the more talented receiver, but they
younger,
they
more talented.
But they have a lot of faith in Crabtree. Crabtree had 9 touchdowns last year. He had 3 more touchdowns than Amari Cooper did all last year.
Pretty sure he went to a Super Bowl once, didn't he?
Crabtree, he's had some injuries through the years too, and he's finally, I think he's probably coming to his own in this system. And Carr's a great quarterback. He really is. He's one of the young and upcoming guys. I think he's gonna be great. Go with Crabtree this week. I like that pick.
I do a lot.
Dr. Curry, what do you got for your fight or flight here?
For my fight or flight, I'm kind of siding with Dr. Healy on this one. I got any Arizona receiver. And the reason why I say that is because in DraftKings, they're all within $1,000 of one another. Any one of them could go off or could be 1 or 2 points.
We should really discuss this beforehand.
Yeah, we really should. And, honestly, I mean, again, at cash games, you're looking for higher floor, lower ceiling. I think you're good with Fitz or Floyd or Brown to catch some balls, get you some points. They're not going to be crazy spending money. There may be a fill-in guy or your 3rd or 4th wide receiver with the potential to go a little bit bigger and win you some money even in cash games. So moving back to Dr. Healy with our Fantasy Flatliner.
So here's my bust of the week for the cash games, and people are going to be spending a lot of money on him because last week he killed it. We got Big Ben. And Fanduel, he costs $8,300, and DraftKings is going to cost you $8,300. And most people are going to be like, why would you not play Big Ben? Because they're playing the Cincinnati Bengals. And in 24 games, here's some stats for you. About to drop the mic in this one. His completion percentage is 63.9%. His QBR is 85, which is okay. It's not great. But his touchdowns and interceptions are 30 touchdowns and 25 interceptions. If you average that out, he also only throws for 230 yards a game. Average that out, that's only going to get you 14 points. You say, hey, 14 points is pretty good, right? But it's not that good for your quarterback that you're expecting to blow up and throwing over $8,000 on.
Yeah.
That is my fantasy flatline, a little Big Ben Roethlisberger.
I like that because I chose the same player.
Whoa!
I chose the same player.
Oh,
who would have thought? Big Ben. No. I like.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
You're serious in
Yes.
this one. Oh, yeah.
You're a disgrace, and everyone here is a disgrace. You can't get a call even this far out right. It's absolutely unacceptable.
This is crazy. We're picking 2 of the same players in both categories.
Well, you
Great
know,
minds think
it's
alike, I
because
guess. I don't know.
because we know what we're talking about. Is what it is.
We know what we're talking about, people.
Trust me, I'm a doctor.
That's right.
So, no, I agree with you. Big Ben is a fantasy flatliner for me in cash games. He is a top 5 quarterback most of the time. He's like one of those staple guys you can plug in. Okay, he's getting me points. Big Ben, divisional game versus Cincy. Always a tough game. Not going to score as much. Last week, Cincinnati held the Jets. Now it's Fitzpatrick, but they have a lot.
Last year, Fitzpatrick was off.
He was. Week 1,
35
they held him to
touchdown
133 yards passing, which isn't much. But you had Brandon Marshall. You have Eric Decker. Good weapons out there. They held them to 133 yards passing.
Matt
week
Forte
1.
out of the backfield? I mean,
so I don't like Big Ben in this matchup, especially what you got to pay for him. I'd stay away from Big Ben this week.
Gotcha. So I'm going to my flatliner of the week, and I'm going with Demaryius Thomas. We talked about it a little bit. He's got a hip issue. He's questionable. Now, we don't really know how bad that is because for some reason the NFL took away probable and questionable. So, we got some probable players that are now questionable, and we don't know what they're doing.
Updates out of practice is he's grimacing after every single play. So you take it or leave it.
He's fighting through pain. And a guy who's supposed to be an elite top-tier wide receiver who is up there close to the same value as like an A.J. Green, close to a DeAndre Hopkins. I just think for a cash game, he is a risky player this week for the value you're putting up there.
Good talk. And now we're going to jump back to our picks. These are essential picks. May stray away from our formula a little bit, but most times it stays around. Our essential pick, or my essential pick for cash games, is Cam Newton this week. I like Cam. He's going to bounce back after week 1 versus the same team he got smash mouth in the Super Bowl with, and week 1. He's just going to bounce back. I think he's going to have a great game this week, and against San Fran, the biggest spread. San Fran was show decent showing versus the Rams, who could be potentially the worst team in the league. So take that with a grain of salt. Cam's going big this week. I'm playing Cam.
The Rams are the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
And they don't have a quarterback anything near Cam Newton. Yeah. So I think it's a good pick because I think Cam's going to surprise people, and I really don't think the 49ers are a very good team either.
Not as good as you think they are.
So.
Dr. Healy, what do you got for your essential pick for this week on your cash games?
My essential pick is a guy that didn't do too hot, people think. I mean, he got 72 yards receiving, but people are expecting him to kind of go off. His name is Allen Robinson. Last week, he had 72 yards, but 2 of them were over 20 yards. So he's got a lot of big play potential. Blake Bortles last week threw for 39 times, so he's going to be targeted a lot again. Last week, San Diego gave up 363 yards passing and 2 touchdowns and gave up 63 yards and a touchdown to Jeremy Maclin. Allen Robinson is a much better player than that. He is my essential player, Allen Robinson. I'm expecting him to go off for over 100 and a TD.
Nice.
All right.
My essential player for your cash games is going to be Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a younger quarterback, but again, they trust him enough to throw a fade into the end zone with the game on the line. He's got 2 stud wide receivers. He's got a workhorse running back, and he's got an unproven tight end that has a lot to prove and could easily be one of the next well-known tight ends in the league, playing an Atlanta defense that got just absolutely demolished by Jameis Winston and that receiving core. I like Derek Carr, and I think he's a very safe play in a cash game this week. All righty.
Good.
So we are that basically wraps it up there, guys.
That brings us to our plan.
Yeah, I like what we had in our assessment and our objective. We had a lot of good information this week. So we're gonna jump over to Dr. Healy, and he's gonna start us off with our prescription to win this week, which is gonna be again the picks that we have that you can go ahead and plug right in. They're exact DraftKings and Fanduel lineups that you can go ahead and play.
Yep. I'm going to start off for the DraftKings here, and I'm going to mention who we have at quarterback, running backs. All right. So first off the bat, we have David Carr, which actually Dr. Nick Curry just mentioned. We think he's going to go off, and he's not very pricey. And then we're going to go with a C.J. Anderson, which is my essential play of the week. I think he's going to really kill it. And then you got Rashad Jennings. Rashad Jennings is a up and coming, I believe. He's going to be he's the number 1 running back in for the New York Giants, and he actually catches the ball as well. So next I'm going to send it over to Dr. Mitch, and he's going to take over the wide receivers.
All right, so we went with a little bit different, riskier strategy this week when it came to receivers. It's a structure of what happened last week when it comes to the Saints. We doubled up on the Raiders with their quarterback. We went with Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree.
Risky.
Yep, I like it. And then we're coming back with Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders is going up against that Colts defense that's been decimated, especially when it comes to the secondary. I think Emmanuel Sanders, both receivers for the Raiders, and Crabtree and Cooper are going to be big for us this week. Dr. Curry, what do we have for the rest of our lineup here on the DraftKings?
We're doing the DraftKings one. So on the rest of the lineup, we got Eric Ebron. I love Eric Ebron this week.
He scored a touchdown last week.
Yeah.
He's coming up.
This is his year. He was drafted to be a Jimmy Graham or a Rob Gronkowski, and this could be the year he starts to look like one of those guys.
He through some injuries last year, so
yeah, and it usually takes tight ends 2 to 3 years to actually come out. I mean, Max Williams out of Minnesota, he's his second year now. Project big things about him next year. It's the same thing.
So after that, to fill out our flex position, we have Tajay Sharp. I really like Tajay Sharp after seeing him against probably the second best defense in the league, the Vikings. Caught 7, 9, 12
targets, which is
targets.
the most out of anyone in the first week.
12 targets, and he caught 7 of them for 70 yards.
They're throwing the ball to him. They must like him if they got targeted him that many times.
We've heard all preseason that Mariota loves Sharp as his go-to receiver. Again, Dr. Mitch, when you find that guy, you just throw the ball up and he comes down with it.
Get it.
Yep. And then last, we're gonna go with the Ravens defense. We already kind of talked about it. Dr. Mitch thinks they are a must-have in all tournament games. games. They're going to be playing one of the worst teams in the league, and with a new quarterback who hasn't been practicing with the number ones, I expect at least one pick, maybe a fumble.
There's going to be some turnovers.
Maybe some turnovers in that game. Yeah. So
maybe some pick sixes.
Alrighty, Dr. Healy, what do we got?
All right, so for our FanDuel lineup, we have Eli Manning starting off at the top. Like I said, I usually don't like Eli Manning a lot, and it takes a lot out of me to say, yes, let's play Eli Manning, but I'm for Eli Manning this week. We're going Eli Manning, followed by running back C.J. Anderson, and then a guy that killed it last week is D'Angelo Williams, who is another guy who loves it, is
I love it.
Dr. Nick Curry, and he's going to take away with the wide receivers.
I do like
right.
that.
Woo!
I do like that.
Like that.
Yes. Wide receivers in this one are going to be Odell Beckham. We're gonna pair him with Eli for sure. You got to get that top wide receiver with that quarterback. Odell came out last week. He didn't catch a touchdown pass. The rookie and the old guy showed him up. I expect him to come out against a New Orleans Saints defense.
We like to call him wise, not old.
Old, yeah, wise guy. Wise guy. I expect him to come
on.
out against a New Orleans Saints defense that is terrible in the secondary, and I expect him to run a clinic on them. Just for you guys, last year when they played New Orleans, I think he went for 13 receptions, 130 yards, and 3 touchdowns against New Orleans.
Not bad.
Not too shabby. I think
and we all know that, like we talked about, the defense hasn't changed much other than a couple plug and plays what they have. But
I mean, if you guys do the math, that's around 60 points in DraftKings.
And their number one cornerback, which would be a 3 on any other team, probably is out.
Yep. So we're taking OBJ. Next one up, we're taking Emmanuel Sanders. We think that Trevor Siemian's going to have to throw the ball at some point during the game. Indy's defense, again, their secondary is decimated. Emmanuel Sanders is a target machine, and he's the guy who is always going to catch the ball right around that first down yard line. I see a lot of passes on 2nd and long or 3rd and short going to Emmanuel with some yak. People.
Love me some yak.
Love it.
Love it.
Last wide receiver we got is Marvin Jones out of Detroit. What? That's right. I love Marvin Jones this year. He's filling in for Calvin Johnson. Not quite the same production, but Matt Stafford likes to spread the ball around, and he got the most targets out of any Detroit receiver last week. So I like Marvin Jones.
All right, now we're going to round off the last 3 here with our FanDuel prescription to win. We're going with our tight end and Jesse James, who did catch a touchdown last week, right, Dr. Healy?
Yes, he did, and he might have one of the most badass names in sports.
Jesse James.
Come
on.
I'll pick him just because that's his name. I don't even care. It's like a girl pick. Oh, I like the color of their jerseys. I'm going to pick them. I like his number.
He actually carries a gun with him on the field.
Yeah. He caught a lot of balls last week, and you know what? It's only a matter of time before he catches a touchdown.
Yep. So we're going with Jesse James this week. As our kicker, now in FanDuel, you pick a kicker. With this week's kicker, we got the hefty lefty from Oakland, Janikowski.
First
Dude
round
can
pick.
kick like an 80-yard field goal.
He was a first-round pick.
He was a first-round pick. The Raiders are all about punchers and kickers in their first-round picks. Ray Guy.
Hey, Ray Guy's a Hall of Famer.
He is a Hall of Famer.
You bite your tongue with that Ray Guy stuff. He's an HOF.
We're going to round it off with, we're going to double up. Same thing. We're going with the Ravens defense again. Crappy offense in Cleveland. Losing your starting quarterback, plugging in your second string, who has played in the league before, but 1-11 record, doesn't win much. The Browns are in shambles. The Ravens are top 2 or 3 in every category for week 1. And we love the Ravens as the defense plug this week.
Oh yeah, that's basically going to round it up for us, Dr. Nick.
I don't got anything else. This has been a great week. To recap, we talked a lot about we talked a lot about the Giants. We talked a lot about the Raiders. Which, again, they're not sexy picks, but they're going to get the job done.
And the Ravens defense. I think more of your lineup should have the Ravens defense.
That and Emmanuel
I think
Sanders.
That's a good pick for us this week.
Yeah, and you know what? Denver with CJ and Emmanuel Sanders playing a team in Indy. I fully expect Indy and Denver to go over the over-under there. There will be points scored in that game. Another game, betting purposes wise, to look at is going to be the Vikings and the Packers. I know the Vikings got a good defense. The over-under set a little bit lower, but that's the first game in the new stadium Stadium.
Yep, the bank, U.S. Bank.
You know what? And Aaron Rodgers is coming town. He's got plenty of weapons. Potentially Sam Bradford's out there throwing the ball around.
He actually did all the first-team reps today.
Okay.
So I believe he's going to be taking home the starting job. They're announced it Saturday because they're going to have
interested
to.
You know, again, we didn't mention these players at all because they're not in the point spread. They're not projected to score a lot of points. I'm okay with Stephon Diggs.
I like for his price.
I like
his price
Stephon Diggs.
Extremely cheap, and he's a PPR machine. He's going to be fed. Sean Hill found him last week 7 times for his, I don't have the exact numbers. I believe it's between
104 yards. Yeah. He scored.
That was just Sean
he scored
Hill.
20 points in DraftKings. Quietly, Stephon Diggs scored 20 points.
My one take from this game is, a divisional game. I've seen a lot of these games played.
It's going to be fun.
If you like Aaron Rodgers, he's a good player. Minnesota knows I'm going to make the Packers beat us by the run.
I was just about to say this.
They're not going to allow Rodgers to pass, and the defense that Minnesota has is a good defense, good secondary. They're going to force the Packers to beat them by the run.
I got a quick
They're going to make
take.
it difficult for Aaron Rodgers. So that's my take.
Is it a Packer hot take?
I mean, it is. It's a daily fantasy sports hot take.
Yeah. I dish it.
So all right. So
if you
kind
say
of backing.
Eddie Lacy's going to be the best.
No. He won't be the best running back. No,
Thank
but
God.
he's going to do well. And I wouldn't.
Yeah.
You want to throw another bet down here?
Yeah.
I want another handshake. I want another handshake.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm going to crush you on here in front of everybody. Because
All right.
I'm tired of hearing about it.
All right, because I'm tired of hearing about it.
Let's see what you got.
Eddie Lacy's scoring.
You ain't got nothing.
Eddie Lacy's scoring a
You're
touchdown.
cabbage.
For sure. 100% Eddie
Eddie
Lacy's
Lacy
going
touchdown.
in the end zone.
Eddie Lacy no touchdown at all.
Ooh.
No,
I need a.
I think that plays more in your favor.
Yeah,
So
that
you're
plays
basically saying that Eddie Lacy's going to score a touchdown.
The reason being because I expect him to score a touchdown because I don't expect him to go off for a 60-yard run touchdown.
Okay, here we go. Here it
But
comes.
I can see him come off like a 3-yard thing that's rumble and tumble in.
Well, anyone could trip over 2 yards and fall on a cheeseburger.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
They're going to be holding
all right.
cheeseburgers in the stands. He's going to go for the cheeseburgers,
Oh,
guys.
yeah, they're going to be throwing Big Macs
we do
at
the
him.
same thing we did with the last bet.
All right, a beer. Yeah. Let's do it.
10 points.
Fine. I'll do 10 points all day on Eddie Lacy. I guarantee
Is
you
this
Eddie
PPR
Lacy.
or no PPR? Are we saying this straight 10 points?
No, well, it's DraftKings or Fanduel. It's either half-point PPR or full PPR.
We'll do half point PPR.
All right, Fanduel. More than 10 points, Eddie Lacy.
Oh, I'm going to get so drunk after you on Sunday.
Push on
All
10.
right.
Push on 10.
Boom, push on 10.
Okay,
I love
all
it.
right.
All right, the hot take is that in the games that Eddie Lacy has played against the Vikings versus in the games that he's played versus the rest of the NFL, Eddie Lacy, during the rest of the NFL, averages 80 yards a game. You guys care to guess how much he averages against the Vikings?
105.
130 yards a game against the Vikings.
That probably wasn't last year.
They forced him to run the ball.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let you know what my hot take is.
Watch out, Nick.
My hot take is that the fact that he's talking crap about the Minnesota Vikings and he's got a purple shirt on and he's obviously supporting the Vikings.
I support the Vikings.
I support
the
So with
Vikings.
that mic drop, we're out of here. I love you guys. Keep on listening. Find us on Twitter.
I'm cutting him off.
Trevor Siemian is your play in a deep sleeper tournament league.
Get that out of
Give
here.
him extra money to play on the rest of the
Get
players. Trevor
that-
Siemian versus that
That's
demise
cabbage.
Can we turn
Colts
this off?
defense.